In this video, we are going to be going over this guide on how to double your list growth and your email marketing revenue in turn, a definitive guide for getting your pop-up forms at 10% plus conversions, meaning you bring site traffic, 10% of them will turn into email subscribers. So this full guide here is what I'm going to be going over. This is the condensed version. If you want to keep this or have it for yourself, it's in the description. So first, why is this important? So in 2024, there's exponentially increased competition. The customer has less money than in 2020 with stimulus checks, and conversion rates on e-commerce are just dropping. So without effective pop-up forms in place, your ad traffic will just visit your site and leave, kind of to never come back. Go check out one of your competitors, or you'll just be forgotten. So your ads just lose effectiveness the lower that your pop-up forms convert. So having a high converting pop-up form will allow you to capture, nurture, convert, and then retain your ad traffic with email, thus increasing your revenue over time by converting your customers who were cold and lowering your cost per acquisition. If you don't have your forms in place, people are just going to leave your site and never come back. If you do have high performing pop-ups, you're going to actually capture them and get the most out of your ad traffic. So that's me, some helpful stuff if you want it, some social media links. And yeah, we've generated over $20 million in revenue for clients. So what is inside this video and this guide? The purpose of pop-up forms. Then we're going to talk about the importance of them. 9 common mistakes with pop-up forms that I see way too often that is absolutely killing your cost per acquisition. Effective email pop-up form examples. We're going to go over 5 steps on how to create a high converting pop-up. And then the top 7 A/B tests to run on your pop-up form that you can do today. And then 7, a swipe file of 29 high converting pop-up forms that you can replicate that I personally manually picked out from sites that have good forms. So this one's going to be a doozy. It's going to be awesome. So sit down, grab a snack, whatever you have to do. So first, let's talk about the purpose of pop-up forms. That is the first stutter. It's going to be one of many, so bear with me. Evolution of the market. So kind of touched on this earlier, but 2020, 2023, government prints a ton of money. Stimulus checks, consumers buy anything. E-com brands feel rich because there also weren't as many e-com brands as there are today. So new e-com brands start multiplying, and now we're into 2024 where it's kind of a bear market. People have less money. Consumers are a lot more skeptical now. They've been scammed online, so they're buying less, and so e-com brands just make less money. The ones who continue as usual, pretending like it's 2020 still and have a 2020 funnel, are going to fizzle out. Meanwhile, the ones who are focusing on profit in the back end are going to thrive. That's kind of what we're seeing right now, and we're really seeing it play out. So the e-commerce problem of today is really that just like most of the people who click your ad and go to your site, like most e-com stores rely on ads for site traffic, and you should. It's a good channel, but they're just not going to buy right away. These people have objections. They don't have enough info. They don't have the money right this second to buy. Their payday is next Friday. They just found out you existed. They just randomly clicked on an ad. They don't know if your product is any good. And why would they go with you when there are thousands of other brands in your niche doing the same thing? So they end up leaving your site, and you're forced to keep on paying on ads until all these objections are addressed. So this is just the sad reality of e-com. You have these ad viewers, you bring them to your site, and really there's only going to be 2, kind of like if this is a 2% conversion rate, like this is even high. I don't even know. This isn't even 100 people. So people ready and able to buy, you have less than 2% conversions. These are people who say, I've seen this brand a few times. They've shown me their product is legit. I'm confident I'll receive my product. This is good timing. I actually need this right now. Meanwhile, most of the people have objections. Who is this brand? Are they real? Are they going to scam me? Does their product work? Is their product any good? Is it worth the price? And so these people leave, and then you're forced to follow this path and go right back into Facebook, pay the money, and kind of repeat this until they buy. And so more ad spend, rising cost per acquisition. That's just like the simplified way of what's going on. So how do we convert these cold prospects who are coming to your site off ads? You simply can't. It is near impossible to convert cold audiences in e-commerce. You can only convert warm audiences. The only people who will buy from you, give you their hard-earned money, is people who already know, like, and trust you. So how do you turn a cold audience into an audience that knows, like, and trusts you? The only way is content. So with each piece of content a cold customer sees of yours, doesn't matter the platform, you earn trust points, and they become warmer and warmer. It doesn't matter if you show somebody 8 ads in a row, they will get warmer and warmer each time, because every time they see your ad, they either learn a little bit of information, see your product again, or they're like, oh my gosh, I've seen this ad so many times, this must be a legit brand. So they're a cold customer, they get warmer and warmer until they reach what I call the trust threshold, which is the point in which somebody has enough information and they trust you enough to actually buy from you. So this is kind of just like an illustration, very simple, number of times exposed to a brand, not ready to purchase. Once they cross this threshold, then they're ready to purchase. It doesn't mean they will buy right this second, it just means that they are ready to purchase. It's only a matter of time and the right information where they will buy from you. So that's the only way. And so you have to send content. So why not send content the cheap way to bring your costs down? So the reason why cost of acquisition is so rapidly is that some brands are relying on their paid ads for content. They have a funnel that's just one-sided. So paid ads will work for reaching the trust threshold and getting these people to purchase, but it is expensive. Like, you can do it, but it's expensive. And in many cases, brands are breaking near even on the first purchase when they have this sort of funnel. So when the customer makes their first purchase, they're just breaking even, and they're hoping to make it back in the back end. So the best way to send content without harming your CPA is by sending cheap and predictable content. That's where email comes in. Cheapest form of content accomplishes the same goal with the same or higher effectiveness. So you can just see the differences between paid ads and email marketing. This isn't anti-paid ads propaganda. It's just email for the use case of converting is better, whereas paid ads is great for acquiring attention, scaling up attention to get people to your site. Because it's expensive, it's controlled by someone else, and it's cold leads, whereas email, it's cheap, controlled by you, warm leads who know, like, and trust you. So that's why email is going to be valuable for converting these people, warming them up and converting them. So again, like, this isn't saying turn off your ads or anything. You'd be screwed. Just use your paid ads for that initial touch point, that first 1 to 2 visits. You can pay for that. You can pay for those ads to get them 1 or 2 times on the site, but then you get them on the pop-up and you convert them over time, and then multi-time buyers as well. So that's why it's so important to have a pop-up form, because if you don't, you're just going to keep on sending ads and ads and ads until they buy. So again, we get these ad clickers onto our email list with our pop-up forms. You know, some may say that pop-up forms are intrusive, but the ROI that you get is just way too big to ignore. The ROI you get in the back end, just it's unparalleled, and a good form will not be intrusive at all. People want deals. They want these pop-up forms. They want 15% off whatever you're offering. They want a little gift or something, or a mystery, whatever it is. People like this, and a good form is not going to be intrusive at all. As long as you wait for the right time delay, it's designed well, it's clean, it's not in your face and spammy, then it will not be intrusive, and people will enjoy it and want it, and they'll sign up to it. So let's talk about the importance. So we know what are pop-up forms and kind of just like the purpose of them. Now let's talk about the importance of them. So kind of as we talked about, with no or a low converting pop-up, people are just going to go to your site and then leave. And yeah, you'll get like a 2x to 3x ROAS if you have a good ad, but that's fine. Like you can be okay with this, but you're barely making any profit, especially with e-com margins today. So people just go into your site and then they leave. Whereas if you do have your pop-ups and you have a high converting one, like most brands will have a pop-up live, but if you have a high converting one, we're able to capture the folks that we paid so much to acquire through our ads, and then we convert them after we have their trust and the objections are addressed. So instead of just bouncing right off, we're going to get some of them into the email list, send them emails, send them content, make some money, and get a 10x plus ROAS. That's the only way that you can really, you can't do that over without email going on in the back end, just purely with ads. It's quite literally impossible. So here's an example for a client that we did. So this is a real client example after we literally only increased their pop-up conversion rate from 2.5% to 8.75%. We didn't touch their emails. We didn't do anything. No increased site traffic. We just took their form from 2.5% to 8.75%. As a result, their monthly welcome email flow, so the emails after somebody signs up saying, hey, welcome to the brand, went from $7,000 a month to $25,000 a month. So you can see here, the prior 3-4 months was an average of $7,000. And then after we put our form in, the next month, October, $25,000. So a direct correlation of 3.5x in the pop-up conversion rate to a 3.5x increase in monthly welcome flow revenue. Funny how that works. The more people who enter your list, the more people who buy. And so you can see here, it turned out to be about a 10% conversion rate both times, equal, but average order value the same, monthly site visitors the same. Only thing that changed here was the pop-up form conversions, 2.5% to 8.75%, new email subscribers, 750, 2,600. So this in turn is $216,000 over 1 year. So this difference, an extra $216,000 for this brand, which is pretty sweet, and that's a lot of money just by your little pop-up, which is easy to just like set and forget and be like, oh, it's performing fine. Optimize it, and it can be the difference between hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just kind of to recap, over 12 months, 31,500 more subscribers, and compared to 9,000, and again, that's so many more people that you can continue to sell to, and $300,000 of revenue compared to $84,000. And so that's an easy visualization just to show like the importance of having a hyper optimized form and making sure that you're testing it. So it's important to understand that you do not get it right the first time. Klaviyo and these other platforms have plug and play templates that you can get on your site in minutes, but it's easy enough to call it quits right there, and a lot of brands would do this, but that's what the above brand example did above, but that's just leaving way too much revenue on the table. It takes real work and know-how to get a form from the industry average of like 1 to 3%, like where that brand was at, to our goal of 8 to 12%. And the result is just 3 times more revenue in your welcome flow and the growth of your list. So this is kind of how it looks like. This is the actual how it goes. Initial form, 2.5%, 3.3%, and then you increase it to 4.1, and then it goes down, 3.7. Goes up, down, up. It's just all these tests until eventually you get to the 10% form. Like you don't just make it right away. It's only through testing, iterating, and proving that you reach these 10% opt-ins. And it's just going to take a ton test. It's going to take a ton of tests. So that one in the example above was, I believe, like our 5th or 6th form that we were just hyper testing super fast. And so very, very important. So let's talk about some 9 common mistakes with pop-up forms that if you look on your site could be happening, and you can quickly remove them to increase your opt-in rates. I want to make sure that this is as tactical as possible so you can get as much quick value as possible. So number 1, the offer isn't strong enough. So the offer is the number 1 most important aspect of your pop-up. If you don't have a good offer, then people aren't going to sign up. If you're just saying, hey, sign up and be my friend, that's a terrible offer. Nobody wants to be your friend. No offense. But if I did a pop-up like that, that's just not going to work. So it must be strong enough to where somebody wants to opt in. If you aren't offering a discount, then make it creative, such as like entering a giveaway, giving a free guide. You can't just get on your knees and beg somebody to join. You need to give them something. And if you are offering a discount, make it appealing. For example, let's look at this brand. So limited time offer, get 5% off today by subscribing. Everything else about this form is good. It's okay. But 5%, that's just like sounds terrible. Like 5% off, that's saving me nothing. But the average order value for this brand is $500. So what do you think sounds better, 5% off or $25 off? See, when it's $25 off, because that's what 5% of 500 is, that's what everybody's going to be doing. What sounds better? Do you want $25 off? Like here's a $20 bill and a $5 bill, or 5%? It's typically the dollar off is going to perform better, and we've tested this. If average order value is above $100, then you probably want to do dollars off. And so this is an example of putting in a strong offer and changing it, and then maybe that doesn't work. Maybe you want to try something else, like how to install this car part free guide, or here's a giveaway for this, whatever it would be. You just got to test your offer because maybe it just isn't strong enough. So that's the number 1 thing that you can test. Something you can also do is like a free gift with your order. That's one that can work really well as well. Number 2, too many requests. This is the second common mistake that I see too often, but more requests means more work for the customer. Each millisecond of extra work or waiting for the customer will increase churn. So you should only ask for 1 input at a time with your forms. First, only ask for email. Then after they submit, that's when you can like ask the extra stuff, such as SMS. If you throw all this stuff, like look at this pop-up, like people going to your site are zombies. They're not going to want to fill all this out. Their first name, last name, email, password, social security number, it's the name of your dog. Like nobody's going to fill that out to not even have a strong offer, become an insider. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not a strong enough offer. And people aren't going to fill all this out. They're just going to go straight for that X. You just want to make it super simple. Hey, all you have to do is this. And then after they submit it, then you can ask for extra stuff. So that's the second common mistake. The third common mistake is time delay. So your form should not fire instantly. This will harm the customer experience and will result in low submits and a higher frustration. This can harm your conversion rates. And you shouldn't wait too long, such as 30 seconds, because then nobody will see your form. Like ideally, the longer we wait, the better. Ideally, that's better for the customer experience, but how many people are actually on your website for 30 seconds. That's going to get your impressions way down and the amount of submits down. So you have to find the balance of firing soon enough to where site visitors will see it without harming the experience. So we typically recommend anywhere from 4 to 12 seconds, so the customer has time to briefly view the site, and we're not harming the experience by sending it too early. So test in there and see what you get the most submits with. Next is load speed, kind of one that not a lot of people talk about, but the worst thing ever is to have a form that slowly loads in, like there's a picture and then like lags in like this. It's the worst, and so it'll harm the customer experience and give them a reason to impulse exit out of the form, and this also just is a bad look for your site and makes it seem just like scrappy. And especially if you have like premium products or products that you think that are like really good, that's just gonna hurt it. Like you can't even get a pop-up right. So this usually happens if you have a massive image file in your pop-up, or the text files are big, or you're using too many opt-ins, or it's just a lot going on with the form. I typically recommend not having pictures on mobile, and then using heavily compressed images if you are using them on desktop. So if you want to use an image, compress your file with this website, iloveimg.com. You just plug an image in. If it's like a 2 GB photo, it'll turn it to like 200 kilobytes. So use that, and that'll help your load speed. The next common mistake is form size. So this is having small forms is the mistake. So in most cases, the bigger your form is, the better. Small forms just don't grab your attention enough and make it very easy for somebody to find the exit button. So try to get your mobile and desktop forms as large as possible, like about 75% of the screen. So right here, it's very easy to find the X, first of all, because it's right in the middle of the screen. If you got to make people work for the X, if you are putting it in a corner, put it all the way up here. But also, this is just too small of a form, and it's not really grabbing somebody's attention. You really want to make it a lot bigger, like this big, so it's really somebody has no choice but to like read your offer. And of course, just this is not a good pop-up form, but small pop-up forms, definitely not what you want to do. And on mobile, you don't want the ones that only take up like half the screen. You want it to take up as much of the screen as possible, because we've tested thoroughly, and the bigger forms always win. So the next common mistake is too much copy. So any copy that you have in your pop-up form that says you will get exclusive offers and promotions is no bueno. It is implied when somebody joins your list. I mean, there are certain scenarios, I mean, I've tested this many times, and in every single time, whenever you don't include it, it performs better, because the more copy you have, the more you scare the customer. Nobody wants a big thing in their face with a ton of words that they have to read. It's just nobody wants to do that. So you just scare the customer, and then they just make a beeline to the X button. So like all of this copy is just unnecessary. 10% off your first order, yes, that's necessary. Sign up to our newsletter to stay up to date with exclusive offers, new products, and promotions, and more. Add your details below, and we will send you your coupon code. T's and C's apply. All of this is implied. Like, when somebody joins an email list, they know they're getting exclusive access, and nobody's reading this anyways. When they see the pop-up, they're just going to look at this, and if they like it, they'll enter. If not, they're just going straight here. So there's really no point. All it's doing is harming the conversions from what I've experienced. So the next common mistake, kind of similar, but too much going on. The more you have going on in your pop-up, the more the customer gets overwhelmed. And the more overwhelmed, the more you scare them, the more they exit out. So too much copy, too many pictures, too many colors, etc. That's going to increase churn. We really want the things to be as simple as possible, and I mean like plain black and white even. Like that can perform best. Like you want to add a little bit of branding, but like this is just a lot going on. There's a person, there's a new font, there's different headlines and different colors, and then there's just a lot going on here, and it's going to really overwhelm somebody. And so if they're in the middle of doing something and you put something overwhelming in their face, they're just going to exit out and try to get back to what they were doing, like reading this article. Same is going to be said about the shopping experience. So make sure you don't have too much going on. Next, probably the biggest common mistake is the offer is unclear. So the only reason anybody will join your email list is for an incentive. Like that's the only way. And if your offer is unclear, hard to find, people are just going to automatically close out of your form. You've literally like half a second for somebody to look at your form before they decide, are they going to exit out or are they going to submit this? So don't hide it. Make it as clear, as large as possible. Like you can't even see what the offer is here. This is 10% off right here. The text is so small, and it is completely just like buried in all this copy that isn't necessary. It's kind of cool. It's kind of funny. Sorry to bother you, but it's a necessary evil in this business. You know the drill. Like it's just not the time and the place because people don't care. They just care about the discount. And I'm sure if you just put a big 10% off and sign up, then a lot more people would opt into it, at least from everything that I've tested. And then another one, we have too easy to close. So at this point, the customer is accustomed to automatically finding an X in the top right corner of any pop-up that they see. No matter what e-commerce brand, if they see a pop-up, they're just going to automatically go to the top right corner. So right when the pop-up fires up, literally they're already moving. And so we want to deny people that option to where their lizard brain doesn't automatically close out. We want them to actually force them to view the pop-up. So instead, you should move your close button and create a separate button inside the form. So instead of having your X up here, have your X down here, or close form down here. Maybe you could try your X in the top left corner, but everybody's just going to do a beeline straight for this. If you can force them to look at the pop-up, it's going to be better. And so those are the 9 common mistakes. And so taking in those common mistakes, we have some effective pop-up form examples that you can take a look at. So these are some examples. This is like a full page mobile pop-up. You can see the offer is super clear, super big button, clear button, and then there's no clear X. It's no thanks, I'll pay at full price. Awesome. Another great example here of a big form. This is probably as small as you want to get. You could go a little bit, but this is probably as small as you want to get. Same sort of deal. No clear X, and the offer here, they don't have a discount, but they have 24-hour early access to exclusive deals. That's great. Here's another kind of pop-up form. Big offer at the top, and then it says to claim your discount. So it's kind of like a game. You have to claim your discount. There's an X in the top right corner, so definitely situational here. So test this versus having a different close button. This says you've got 21% back, claim your discount. So this is a quiz. And then we have just a big offer, plain form, full page, just want 10% off. The offer's clear. And then yes, please. So these are some great examples of pop-ups that aren't anything too crazy. And then these are desktop examples as well. Look at how big this form is. Claim this off your order, claim deal, no X up in the top right corner. Same sort of deal here. The X is in the top left corner for this one. And then big offer. And this one's a mystery discount, which is also something that you can test. So to reveal it, same sort of quiz type funnel that you see on some pop-up platforms. So these are great desktop examples as well. Now we've gone over the common mistakes, some solid examples for your pop-up forms, why we need them. Now let's talk about how to actually create an effective pop-up form and the exact 5-step process to follow. So this is the 5-step process that you want to follow. First, super important, establish your offer. Choose what incentive you want. And then 2, we want to choose what form type you want. So there are 5 different types of the main ones that you can use as your starting point. So you have to pick which one, create, and then you have to create your form. So whether you're using Klaviyo or a platform called Amped, which I'll give a tutorial on, and use my tutorials of me actually creating these forms inside of Klaviyo and Amped. 4, you want to run your form through my checklist, which is going to be provided. And then 5, setting up your A/B tests, setting up your variations, monitor results, and then iterate. So this is the 5-step process. Let's go through it. So 1, establish your offer. Again, your offer is the most important aspect of your pop-up form. Try different offers based off your margins and your opt-in rates, whatever you can do. So say you have a $10 off coupon and you try that out. You have a high average order value, so you offer $10 off, and you get 4% open rates, and then you offer $15 off and you get 12% open rates. Probably that $5 that you're giving off is going to be worth it in the long run. So just test your opt-in rates, and then the margins, and see if it's worth it for you. So a great test to yourself is just, if I was given my offer, would I exchange my email for this? It's a good test. So make sure you test these different styles. So these are kind of the top offers that you can do. Most common ones are going to be % off. You should probably do that if your average order value is below $100. If your average order value is $50, 10% off sounds better than $5 off, because if your average order value is $50, 10% off would on average be $5 off, but 10% off sounds better than $5 off. And then kind of like the example I gave above, average order value above $100, $2 off. Mystery discount is something that you can do. it's the same offer as this, but in the pop-up form you frame it as just like a mystery discount. Sign up for a mystery discount. You have a free gift with your order, get an extra something with your order. You can have free shipping. It's an easy one to do as well. Even if you already offer free shipping, just give that away in your pop-up form, and you don't have to sacrifice any of your margins. You could do a giveaway entry, so give away something every month. Every month draw winners, and hey, sign up for our email list to get your giveaway entry. You can do a free guide, so you put together some sort of resource for somebody and offer that away. The better it is, the more opt-ins you get. And then like early access for some sort of deals that you're doing. That's another thing that you can do in your pop-up forms, as long as you're super clear and you're not vague, like sign up to the email list to get early access. Like you have to make it like actually worth something. So first you want to establish your offer, make sure that it's good, make sure that it's something you're willing to do. Next, we want to choose what type of form that we want. So different forms will have different effectiveness based on your audience. So it's important to give all of these forms a shot to see what resonates the best with your audience. So start with one and go from there. So your best bet is going to be with the classic or the micro commit here, and then go from there. But if you can also try any of these. So the classic is kind of, as we talked about, it's just straight to the email address. Here's like 10% off your order. Whatever it is that you're giving away, you just go straight to the email address. And again, notice how we're not asking for a ton of different stuff. This brand's just doing straight to the email address and then checks all the boxes. Perfect. So that's the classic. The micro commit is very similar, except it has an extra step in front of the form. So it says, do you want 10% off? And then it's yes, please, or no, thanks. So this works better in a lot of scenarios for a couple reasons. When somebody gets this pop-up and they're forced to read it and it's like, do you want 10% off your order? Like, yeah, you do. And it's not like you kind of just are zoned out, and then you're much more likely to click it. And it's confirmation bias, which is just human psychology. When you start something, you're more likely to finish it. So after they click this button, then it goes to the email address, and then the person's thinking, I already clicked this, so might as well. And yeah, you just make somebody pick here, and they're much more likely to do it. So that's the micro commit. These are probably going to be your best bet to start. They're the simplest, and you can test these against each other as kind of like your first test is what I'd recommend. Next is the quiz. So this is going to be popular on platforms like Amped, which I'll give a tutorial on here shortly. But essentially, the quiz, it's you have somebody answer a question, whatever it is, give you some information, and you offer them a discount in exchange for it. So this works great because you're getting information from the customer. And then also, it just converts better a lot of the times because people feel like they earn the discount. It's not like, oh, this brand's just throwing away a discount. They're like, oh, no, I have to like earn this. And so to claim 15% off, share what problems you're trying to solve. And then same sort of thing, commitment bias. Once they do this, they're much more likely to enter their email address. So these types of quizzes can work really well, and then you can tag these people as, hey, this person is more interested in dealing with scars, and then you know to send that person scars type emails, how to overcome scars in the future. So the quiz is going to be very effective, and a lot of times it is going to convert better while giving you more information. Next is the spin to win, which is tacky, but it converts really, really well. So if you want to do a spin to win or something like this, they will convert really well. So in this example, this is on the platform Attentive. So it's spin to win. You can win up to 20% off, and then the spin to win is always going to give you 20% off. It's a rigged game like the carnival, but it's in your favor. It's in the customer's favor. So they spin to win, they earn 20%, and then it's congrats, you won it, unlock with your email. So works really well, but it's just a bit tacky. It makes you look a little cheap, but still these convert like crazy. And so depends on like kind of, maybe you can try it every now and again, mix it up on your site, but it's definitely something that works really well, and you can jazz it up a little bit like this brand. And then another one kind of similar is uncover your discount. So same sort of deal, but you kind of gamify the experience for the customer. So it's like you've got like click on something to reveal your discount, so you could choose a box, and so it makes you be like, oh, am I going to get this one right? So you're much more likely to click it. Then once you click it and you win, you're much more likely to actually like fill out your email address because you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. So this one can work really well as well. I wouldn't call it tacky as much, but kind of just, I don't know. It can be a little bit weird than just being really straightforward with, hey, here's a discount. So my favorites are these top three: the quiz, micro commit, and the classic, and these are usually the ones that I'm going to test out first. So again, we have established our offer, whatever it is, and then choose what type of form you want and test them against each other. So 3, now we actually want to create our form in Klaviyo and Amped. So Klaviyo is the main email service provider for email marketing for e-com. So this is just going to be where you send your emails and then also where your pop-up forms are. So in most cases, you can create them in Klaviyo, but a great platform if you want to do a separate platform, you want to take your pop-up forms up a notch, is Amped. Amped absolutely crushes. They're the superior option and perform much better than Klaviyo forms, but it is an extra cost. The pricing is available on their site. It's usually only like $100 a month. But the ROI I've seen from it is far and away worth it. So below here are tutorials that you can have as well. So this is like Amped, for example. They create you pop-ups that look like this, kind of like the examples I showed you. A lot of it's gamified and kind of everything that you'd look for. You just book a demo with them, and essentially they'll create you forms, and they'll create you forms for free. So, and then you can create them yourself after that and test whatever you want. So Klaviyo pop-up form tutorial, I have these videos here. If you want them, I'm just going to play them. I'm going to attach them. I just wanted to put this in the document as well so that it's embedded. So once you take this document, you have the tutorials on how to install them. So I'm just going to play them in this YouTube video, and I'll play them just back to back to back. And then if you want these videos just to like have on your own, then get the document in the description. But I'm going to play these videos. Essentially, we just want to create our forms. Alrighty. This is going to be your guide for mobile forms on Klaviyo. So exactly how to make them, what templates to use, and the different features that you can use inside of Klaviyo. So this is what we're doing. We are going to start from a template on sign up forms here. So Klaviyo has some solid templates to start, but you don't want to take these as is because there's a lot of things that you are going to want to change if you've seen the rest of my resources on forms. So my favorite form, just to kind of start out with, is this multi-step email and SMS full page form. So we're just going to do this. We're going to do test video. So what you want to do here is, what's the list that you want to add these people to? Newsletter, and then SMS subscriber list, whatever you want to put them in. And then we're just going to create this form, and it's going to give us a decent template to start off with. So this is what it looks like on desktop, and then if you switch to mobile up here, this is how you're able to view mobile versus desktop. Now, I always recommend just creating separate forms for each. It's going to be easier to analyze the data. So we're going to go over mobile forms in this video. So to change this to purely be mobile, we're going to go to targeting and behavior here. And we're going to show this to display on mobile only. And you'll see this changes only to mobile. So this is kind of how the dashboard looks. You can click onto all of these features and you're able to edit them as you please, change the text. And then you also have the different steps here. So the email opt-in and then the SMS opt-in. And if you want a success message, then you can put a success message. Depending on how you are doing your SMS, not everybody's going to have SMS, but depends on how you do it. Typically, what we do that I recommend, if your SMS is on Klaviyo, if it's on a different platform, reach out to that different platform and see how you can get it onto a Klaviyo form. But essentially, you just want to take this input field. So if you go here to add blocks, this is how you can add different stuff. So we can go here to phone number, and we're just going to drop that in. And then we have the phone number, and then this is going to allow us to add another step if we want to have a success message. So we're just going to submit this form. That's what that button is going to do. We want to change it to submit, and then we can have a success message. So that's how everything looks. And if you want to add a teaser, which is essentially, we'll look at it here. Teaser is if somebody closes out of the form, this gives them the opportunity to reclaim their discount. So you can have a rectangle, circle, a corner, whatever you want to do. Typically, I don't use these because they can get in the way of a customer shopping. So in a lot of cases, I recommend not using it. You can change the size, you can change what position it goes in. So if you want to use it, awesome, you can test it. But typically, I don't recommend having it. And so I'm just going to delete it for the sake of this video. So email opt-in. Let's look at what we have inside of Klaviyo. So we have the styles, and then we have targeting behavior, and then ad blocks. So styles is just like the overall setup of the form. So it kind of looks like a lot, but it's really not. We have different types of forms here. So you have a pop-up, which is kind of typically what you think of, which is this. You have a full page, which is technically a full page form, so people can't click out of it. And then you have a flyout, if you want to do something like this, and then you have an embed where you can put it on a page, but we're not going to worry about that. All of these, so pop-up, full page, and flyout, pretty much the same, except for how they come in. And like flyout, for example, you can have it come in from different areas. Typically, I am going to recommend just doing a pop-up. So pop-up, this is what we're going to do here. We're going to stick with this. You can adjust the width and anything you want, but honestly, these are good, kind of how it is. This takes up a good portion of the screen. It's exactly what we want. If you wanted to change it, you can do this different stuff, but you're gonna have to mess around with a lot of the settings. So I just like doing the custom, what they have. So I believe this was 750 x 500. That's what I'd recommend. Side image, you don't really need one. So I do no side image, kind of messes up the sizing. So if you just want to keep this at right image, it changes the formatting for whatever reason on mobile, because on desktop it does that. So a lot of times I'll just keep this in so I don't have to adjust any of this spacing or anything. So you can just keep right image in. That's just going to save you some time. I'm going to show, yeah, this is what it's saying for the image, show on either all devices, so it's mobile and desktop, or just desktop. Just keep it on desktop. So this is what the format's going to look like on your phone. Again, there's a lot of nuance with these forms. There are plenty of different ways to skin the cat. For, if you've never heard that phrase, plenty of different ways that you can do it. But essentially you have these different, you can change your form background, whatever you want it. Typically, I like to keep things as simple as possible. We don't care about anything besides the discount. And so that's what we're going to do. First, before we do that, form styles, so things like the radius, so the rounding of the form, you can adjust that also. Again, typically, none of this stuff is going to matter too much. And then you have padding. Padding is essentially just like the white space. So if I change the padding or the margins, same as well. It's pretty much the white space. So you can adjust that as you want. And we'll probably adjust that in a second. But here you have like the fonts for the input field. So this field, we'll just keep it as Klaviyo's. So if you have custom fonts, then you can insert that here, and that's what'll go here. But essentially, we don't want to go too far off of this, because we just want the offer to be plain and clear. So that's the main thing that we want to adjust in these forms. So we don't want any of this extra copy. The more copy you add, it's just going to increase churn. It's going to scare people off. We just want the offer. So we can just delete all of this copy and just have the 10% off. So we're going to delete this. We're going to delete this block. So we just have this. And then we're going to edit this. We don't even need limited time. So whatever your offer is, you can change it here. So we're just going to say, we're going to ask people, or we're going to tell them, you want to play with your copy here, see what works the best. But a lot of times you say, like, you've got 10% off. It's just making the person feel special, like, hey, you've got 10% off, or do you want 10% off is a good question, or get 10% off. So in this case, we're going to say, let's say unlock 10% off your first order. And then we want to make 10% off. See, that's a little bit hidden. We want to make it as big as possible. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller, 25. Hopefully that'll update in the actual box. There you go. 25. Perfect. And then we're going to make this bigger. Let's change you to like 45. We can even make this bigger. Let's go 55. And you could even change the color if you wanted to, depending on what you want to do with your form. So one thing that's also good is we want to add a logo up here at the top, your brand logo, just to get a little bit of branding in. I'm going to go to image, put an image here, and I'm going to go get like Nike's logo for this case. Alrighty, so just in here, I am inserting the image for the logo, and boom, there we go. put an alt text, and then you can adjust the size of your logo however you want it to be. Usually you want it pretty small so it's not taking away from this. So now that we're looking at this even more, let's make this offer bigger so that it's just really right in someone's face. So let's go here. Let's change this to 60, see how that looks. And we'll go like 35, and then we'll go 35 here. And boom. Now we have this. So that looks pretty good. Unlock 10% off your first order. You could even change the color of this if you wanted. If you wanted to do like red, make it stand out a bit more, then you can do that as well. Unlock 10% off your first order. And then we have here. So it looks like these are a little bit too tight together. We really want to separate everything. So if we add padding here to the bottom of this logo, it's going to fix this. So let's add like 50 padding so they're a little bit separate. Awesome. That is pretty solid. Although this just isn't centered. So we'll talk about that in a second. But right now, another thing that we want with our form is people, when they get a pop-up form, they're pretty much automatically just going to zombie mode, just go to the top right corner and try to find the X. So we want them to not do that. We want them to actually see the offer, take it in, and essentially be forced to make a decision. Do you want the discount or do you not, rather than automatically go into the X. So we are going to pretty much remove this color. So what we can do here is we can turn the opacity on 0. So move this. Now it's pretty much a hidden X. You can't see it. And so this person's like, they have to look at the offer. But we can't just force them to do it. We have to give them the option. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our own just like opt-out button under this button. So the person has to either claim the discount or say, no thanks, I don't want the discount. So what we can do here is we add a button here, and we want to change this button. So let's make sure that the font is the same, Poppins, and then we're going to say something like, no thanks, close form. So the person has to physically say, I don't want this discount. And so let's change this button copy to something like claim 10% off. Maybe something like that if you want to do that, but we can just keep it as claim 10% off. That looks good. And then we have this button like this. So typically what I recommend for this is turning the background as blank as well. Make you blank. And then background color, we just turn that blank, but we need to make the text visible. So we're just going to make the text like black. Perfect. And then that looks pretty good. The form looks pretty centered. There's an awkward space between them. So what we'll do here is we can make this form, we can make the button actually a little bit thinner. So it's like that. And that looks pretty good, except I kind of want this to be centered a little bit more. So I'm going to add some padding to the bottom of this to push everything else up. So we can do like 30. Perfect. Now, that looks pretty good. Now this person is forced to either claim 10% off or close the form. Let's actually turn bold off so it looks like that. Perfecto. So that's kind of the first step of the form. Now, if we want to get fancy, we can add a micro commit before our form, which if you've seen my other content, anything else in the pop-up form document that I've sent, we talk about micro commits, and sometimes they perform better than just asking somebody straight up for their email. So let's create a micro commit step where essentially we ask somebody, do you want 10% off, before asking for the email. So we are going to add another step. So I'm just going to clone this so we don't have to redo the formatting. I'm going to name this micro commit. We're going to clone this. Micro commit is right here. I'm just going to drag this so it's the first option. So we're going to go with this and then this. So for the micro commit, we just want to delete the email section and just have this. But we would probably want to change the wording to say, do you want 10% off your first order? So we're asking these people, do you want it? And obviously, somebody is probably going to say yes. And so you get much higher click rate when you have this type of form. Let's add some padding here, just because that looks a little bit awkward. Do you want 10% off your first order? Then if they say yes, which if you look at the button action, it says show next step. And so what happens is they're going to get this step. where they get unlocked 10% off. What happens just with how people think is once they've committed to something, they're much more likely to follow through. And so this, you can get higher submit rates. So that is very effective. So now we have so we get their email. We don't want to put email and SMS on the same form. We want them to be one by one. So we want it to be, this person just opted into their email, and then they're like, oh shoot, I have to do my SMS to claim my discount. We want to make it seem that you have to enter your SMS, because that's going to be the best situation. But in reality, even if somebody doesn't submit their SMS, they're going to get put in the email welcome flow. So I just deleted that SMS step, and I'm going to clone this one and name it SMS. And we're just going to replace this with SMS. So let's delete this, and then let's add a phone number. So we get this big ol', you have to put this for it to be legal. So, but we can make it a lot smaller. So let's just make it like size 8 for both of those. And then we have this little situation, which doesn't look very good, and we don't want this to scroll. So, so maybe we can change this copy to be, we can say something like enter your phone number to complete it, or we can just say something like almost there. Almost there. Claim 10% off below. We'll say claim 10% off. And then we can make this red again. Let's get the color. Copy that, move you over here, and then do this. Almost there, claim 10% off. And maybe we could even do this and then make this text a little bit smaller. Because the person already submitted their email, they know it's 10% off. So we can do that. It doesn't need to be as massive. Why didn't you change? 25. Okay. Can you change size? Do you want to change size? There we go. Almost there, claim 10% off below. And then you have this, the phone number. So this is perfect. It'll just go phone number, perfect, and boom. Then you're pretty much set here. If you want to move this below, you can. Some brands will do that. That looks okay. Or you can even put it as low as here and then adjust the spacing. But for this case, we'll do that. Let's do this. I feel like this looks a little better. It just looks awkward because it's left aligned, but that's okay. People know what they're getting into when they sign up. So then we have that, and then we have a success form. So we can just do thanks for signing up. Let's go on ahead and add our logo. And then we need to add a close form so that they're not just stuck on this page because they can't find this X that's actually still in the corner. So we can do thanks for signing up. And then let's add a button. We have to add a close form button. We can say, instead of close form, we can say start shopping. And let's use Poppins again. Then we can make you, let's just make you black. I usually don't like to include this. So we'll just say, thanks for signing up. Check your mobile device to confirm your SMS subscription. Check your mobile device to, we want to make it a little bit more enticing, to claim your limited 10% off code. And perfect. You can play around with the spacing as you want, but that's pretty much it. So we have this micro commit. Do you want 10% off your first order? Claim 10% off, unlock 10% off. Almost there, claim below. Thanks for signing up. Perfect. And then if you don't want the micro commit, you can just delete this. No need to have it. And you could just go straight to the email opt-in. It's a great first test to do. And then what you can do is targeting behavior. So your advanced stuff. So you can have this form show immediately, which I don't recommend. You're going to want to do it based on rules when a visitor is exiting, which I don't recommend. Exit intent isn't very good. Sometimes it'll misfire. After time delay, after they scroll a certain amount or after they see a certain amount of pages, I recommend a time delay, something between 4 to 12 seconds. You can start off with 4 and then test from there. Then you have frequency. So after visitor closes this form, if they said no, how soon after are we going to show the form again? We can say 5 days. And then devices, obviously mobile only is what we're doing, and that pretty much does it. And there's a high converting form, or probably not, because you'll need to test the heck out of this from here, but that's how everything looks. That's how you use the form. You can get more fancy and do all this other stuff if you want, but this is as simple as it gets. So if you saw my guide for mobile pop-up forms on Klaviyo, we are now going to be doing the same thing, but for desktop. So this is what we created for mobile. If we click here, this is what it looks like. We have the email opt-in, SMS, and then success. Now we just want to do the same thing, but for desktop. So I'm just going to clone this for ease of this video and making it a little bit faster. So all you have to do is click this button here, and then we just want to clone it, and then test video desktop, and we are going to adjust this to be only desktop. So this just pulled up here. Let's go in and make our edits. So obviously this is mobile only. There's no way to view desktop. So we need to change this for the desktop. So we want to go to targeting and behavior, and then we want to display on desktop only. Oops. Desktop only. Perfect. Now this is the form. You can see it's already laid out cleanly for us. We just need to find an image. So I'm going to find an image. So I just put a main one from their site in. You can do anything, but for styles, you can really do anything. You could do a full page pop-up. Usually the bigger your form is, the better converting, but you have to sacrifice some customer experience because this is a little bit more bombarding. So I typically will do a pop-up like this, but maybe make it a little bit bigger. You can also do flyouts, but these aren't as effective. But typically I'd say a pop-up, and maybe you want to make this bigger. What if we made this large? Not quite big enough, so let's go back to custom. Let's try to make this a little bit bigger. Let's see if we make this 800. And we make this like 600. There's that, that's pretty good. Maybe let's make it a little bit wider. Boom, perfect. 1000 x 600 looks to be a good amount. And so one thing right off the bat, if you saw the other video, there's this little X and there's a little border around it. So we like to make our X clear so that people don't know that that there's an X here, and instead they're forced to make a decision. Highly recommend doing that. It's going to improve conversions. So this background color, we want to turn this as clear as well. So we're going to drag this bar here, and magically this goes away. So this is what we have. Here, it's very simple, unlock 10% off, and then we need to adjust this picture as well. So let's go here, perfect, and then success. We have to change this image. So it's the same exact thing as mobile, so we don't really need to change too much. Maybe some formatting stuff, maybe some spacing, but overall, this looks okay. I would keep this. If you want to do a micro commit, same scenario. You could just go here, add micro commit. Put in a micro commit step, and then delete this field, and then we say, we'll say, do you want 10% off your first order? You can get creative with the copy, whatever type of copy you want. And then we could say something like, yes. Something like that if you wanted, or you could just say, claim 10% off. That works too. Maybe add some spacing above this because it looks a little bit awkward. And that looks pretty good. And then you have the email section. So you can adjust any of this. You could change the images to be wherever you want. We've actually tested this, and right image typically works best. You could also do left. So just flip that. Or you could also do no image and just have something like this. Definitely stuff you want to test. Make sure that if you're using an image, you are, you're compressing the image, so it's not a big file. So this one, you want to use a site like iloveimg.com, and it is going to fix it, or make it smaller file so it doesn't load so slow when you pull up the form. So for some reason that reset my formatting, so let's turn this back to 1000. And that's really all that you need. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. Very similar to mobile. You just want to play around with your spacing, with your words, things you can test, and then you can take it from there. Alrighty, so this is Amped. This is the alternative pop-up platform. If you want a better converting pop-up that is not Klaviyo. It's super easy to use. I'm just going to show you guys exactly how to use it. If you want to apply it to your brand, you can just schedule a demo. They'll let you use the platform 2 weeks for free before charging something like, you can click pricing here, it's like $100 a month, depending on your store traffic, and they'll build you your first forms completely free, and they'll build out pretty much anything you need. But if you want to create them on your own, let's go to the Amped dashboard. Let's create some. So if we go here, I want to create a new campaign. So I'm going to go to campaigns, and then I'm going to click create a new campaign from a template, and you have all of these templates that you can build off of. So you can pick any one of these. We have quiz templates. So if you want to use a quiz type of pop-up, these actually work really well because a person clicks on one of these buttons. So it's, you've got 10% off. So rather than just giving somebody it, they feel like they've earned it by saying, I'm claiming my discount through my by giving them my diet. And so if you say something like this, it can work really well. We can see micro commits here. We can see mystery discounts with a quiz. That's kind of like the basis of the strategy that they do with these forms. And the thing with these forms is that they're just super clean, and they come in really clean. So you can test all sorts of these templates. For this one, for example, let's use this template and let's just build something real quick for our Nike example. So you can just go here, build your own, select what you want. Let's just say we're only doing email, and then let's open an editor to clone, and then we can preview it here. So something cool that you can do, so you can see this is how everything looks. Looks like they did a GIF here. That looks pretty cool. That's just going to take up a lot of space. So we have just the desktop views, and then we can see teasers right here. So you have mobile and desktop. This is the first step, and then the second, and then the third. So first step, you've got 10% off, and then we have the next step, which is enter your email to claim, and then you have this. So if we want to edit some of this stuff, it will take a little bit of getting used to their editor because it's a little bit more advanced. But you can see here, you can edit any of this copy by just clicking here. Oh, it looks like we need to use this template. So let's create a new campaign using this template. Let's edit it, and then we can just apply it here. So say I wanted to change this to unlock 10% off. Then you just do that here, and it's going to apply to desktop as well. So super simple. Say we wanted to change this to like a Nike logo. I can do that. So I just inserted the Nike logo there, and then let's see what type of Nike product I can put right here. I just replaced it with some basic Nike Dunk Lows, and it looks like there's a background photo here. So let's see, how can we delete that background photo? Again, it'll take a little bit to get used to this. So there's the image background. So actually, let's do that and then get rid of this image. Then you can have something like this, so it looks like that. And then you'd want to mess around with this a little bit. So we can delete this, and then boom, and then delete this. You have to do it for each one of these. And then we want to position this up forward. So I'll show you guys kind of how to do this. So you want to add padding on the bottom. So let me move you. So for this image, photo container, you can also do something where you repeat it, which is kind of cool. Which will like pretty much stack everything on top of each other. Let's see, what if we did that? There we go. So that fixed this one. Now we want to move this one up. So we want to remove this style so that this is solo and it's not copying this style. And then we want to add some, let's see, add some padding. Individual on the bottom. If we did 50, we need to do a little bit more. 200. There we go. And then that works. That works. And then this looks good. And then discount code. Welcome 10. Perfect. And then this. So I'd probably want to use a different image for desktop. So let me find a different image here. Alrighty. So I just got a different image from their website and just got this guy in this funny pose. So maybe you want to do something different, but it's as simple as that. I just went in and changed an image that was vertical, and just replaced that. And then this is going to function as it needs. So looks like there's an issue that needs fixing. So discount code on step 3 is not configured. So If you would want to do a discount code, you'd have to create the discount code in your store, and then that would work. And then if everything works, then you just click draft saved. And you can even preview this locally or preview it like on your site. So you can see like actually what it looks like over top your site, which is pretty sweet. But that's pretty much all you have to do. It's already saved, and so if you wanted to go back and publish it, as long as you had the app installed on your site, you can just go to here, set your settings. Who do you want to target? So you just want to target anonymous visitors. That works great. And then triggers, time on page, maybe change this to 4 seconds. And this is your pop-up, and it looks good. If all looks good and you check all these settings, then you can publish live. So that's all there is to it for Amped. A lot of this you can just hit up their team and they'll handle it for you. But I just wanted to give a brief intro to the editor, the templates that you can use, and some of the functionality of it if you wanted to use it. Alrighty, we are back in this layout. Hopefully those videos were helpful, but now we've created our forms. Awesome. Let's run our form through this winning checklist. So this is what we want out of a lot of 10 out of 10 forms. You want to make sure that you have all of these addressed, or at least most of them. You can get away with one being a little different, but highly recommend following all of these. So only ask for one input per step. You're not asking for email and SMS on the same page. That will hurt conversions. You do email on one, they click submit, and then SMS. Time delay is 4 to 12 seconds. You want to make sure that you're not firing it too soon or too late. The form loads instantly with no lag. So once that 4 seconds passes, when the form pops up, it's not lagging in. It's just popping up all at once. The form covers at least 75% of the screen. The form is nice and big. There's under 10 words of copy on the form. The offer is the largest aspect of it. So the offer is just nice and clear. And there's no X button, rather a close form button, or the X that you have is unclear, or it's like on the left side. Anything of that matter can be good. But if you do all of these, you're probably going to have a solid form to test off of. So use that checklist for yourself. And then setting up a B test. So no form is going to be perfect on the first go. Like we've literally just cracked the surface here. The magic of this all happens with A/B testing. So you must be setting up tests at least weekly to slowly inch your form up. To kind of put that in perspective, for every 1% increase in conversions, you take your form from 3% to 4%. It's an extra 100 subscribers on 10,000 visitors. So I'm going to play this video as well on setting up A/B tests. I just wanted to make sure that if you have this document, you have this embedded. So I'm going to play this video now. Awesome. So I hope you got value from that. And now we're going over the top 7 best A/B tests to run on your forms. So the first one, highest lever, is going to be your offer. Try the different offers outlined just in the slides that I went over a bit ago, and even try doing a mystery offer. That's something that a lot of people don't really try, but I've seen convert better in many cases. So the offer is the biggest thing you can try. Try 5% off versus like $10 off versus free shipping, whatever you can do. Give away a free guide, see what the opt-in rates are, and then also look at what the conversions are once they are on the list, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. So test your offer, test. Next, form type. So another very large lever. So try the different form types that I went over earlier and try one of the different 5 ones, and you can even test out using different features within that form. So like, for example, in Klaviyo, using a pop-up functionality versus a full page functionality versus like a flyout. That's going to be very, those can be pretty big levers as well as far as like how it works. 3, you want to test your closed form functionality. So try using a closed form button versus having an X in the corner of your form. You can even test the placement of all of your closed buttons, whether it's on the left side, whether it's centered, whether it's off-centered, whatever it may be. The closed form functionality is going to be a big lever because a lot of people are going to be closing out of the form. 4, time delay, whatever time delay you're using. Use the different time delays to maximize the total submits, not the conversion rate. Because a lot of times if you have a 30-second delay, the conversion rate is going to be higher. It'll be like a 10% form, but it's going to have a lot less people entering the list because not a lot of people are on the site for 30 seconds. So a 5% form firing 4 seconds might have more submits than a 10% form firing 30 seconds after. So Try 4 seconds versus 12 seconds to start, and then slowly start closing the gap until you find the one that works for you. Next, photo content. So using different photos, especially on desktop if you're using photos. Some photos just will appeal more than others. You should even, like, especially on mobile, test the placement of your photo and like try having it as the background of one of your photos. Like maybe if you have a simple aesthetic photo, you can put that as the background of your pop-up, and that could make it perform better. So try photo content. 6, test out the copy. So at the end of the day, the copy is not a huge deal. It's kind of just the offer that's the biggest deal. So try like longer forms versus shorter forms. So having a little bit more copy versus being just super quick and urgent. Try doing like unlock my offer versus you've got, or claim, whatever it is. Just test those little things. Those can make a difference as well. And then not as much of a massive lever, but colors. Colors can make a big difference. If you have a lot of colors, then probably going to have worse opt-ins than if you make your colors simple and you don't have too much going on. The less you have going on, the better. So these are the top 7 A/B tests to run. Probably test one every couple days to get your form up into a place that you want it to be. So pop-up form swipe file. So if you want the pop-up form swipe file, just sign up at wellcopy.net/popups, pop-ups, wellcopy.net/pop-ups. There you go. It'll be in the description of this video if you want the 29 high converting pop-up forms here. So that is it for this one. I hope you got a ton of value from it. I put a lot of time into this, so I hope you like it. Join my free 2 to 3 times per week newsletter, actionable free tips and content, theinboxnewsletter.com, and you can find me, email max@wellcopy.net. Socials will be available for you. And if you are an e-commerce brand doing $50,000 a month, we will create you 10% forms for free. Can't guarantee 10%, but we will create you forms that will convert better than yours, guaranteed, or I will pay you your hourly rate for wasting your time. So if you're at least $50,000 a month, book a call. But thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if there are any other topics that you would like covered. But yeah, really appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one.